Hello, it's Liz, CEO and founder of Worth It. I'm a positive and organisational psychologist and coach that specialises in the early prevention and interventions of mental health problems in children and young people. Today I'm going to be talking about life coaching for teenagers. I've been officially a life coach for 15 years now, since 2009. That's when I started my training in coaching. And then I kind of specialised into working with adolescents because my interest was always early intervention and prevention of mental health problems. So I kind of niched within the field of life coaching for teenagers. So the approach to life coaching that I use is positive psychology coaching. Now, the reason why I think positive psychology coaching is so important for teenagers is it because through the coaching process, so not all coaching contains positive psychology, although it's getting a bit more into the mix these days. So you could do a coach training course and just learn the basic principles of coaching, which is usually very goal orientated. Do the GROW model, which is goals, resources, opportunities, and will. So what will you do to put that into action? Now, I've always felt that the GROW model is not really appropriate for young people, and what we can use coaching for is helping young people identify broad fuzzy goals that they have for themselves, because they can't think ahead like the way adults can. So not all direct coaching approaches are relevant, or coaching training styles are relevant to work with young people, because young people's brains are different to adults. So we can't just take an adult approach and just tweak it a bit and apply it to young people. We really need to be thinking about adolescent brain development and child development stages and the development of self and identity and autonomy and things like that when we're using coaching with young people. So life coaches that work with teenagers tend to be having a background working with young people, youth work, teaching, support work, any sort of helping professional role with young people. So my background is actually post 16 and higher education, so that tend to work with the older age of young people. However, over the years I've worked with all different ages and primary school kids as well. So when we're coaching young people, it's always based on establishing this trust and rapport and this relationship that kind of contains the resources, the goal setting, and any of the other stuff that you work through life coaching or with a teenager. So the kind of stuff that we would work on life coaching with a young person is about helping them figure out all the stuff that's overwhelming them, all the stuff that's going on in their lives, and what they need to unravel, like that ball of wool that's all feeling massive and overwhelming, and they don't know that the resources that they have are within them, or they might not be able to identify resources, or they've got these limiting beliefs that they are not able to cope, or they're not, nobody likes them or nobody cares about them. So all of that is a big, massive mess of stress. So what we want to do when we're coaching on people is, first of all, help them articulate how they're feeling, get it out of their mouths, and usually put it onto paper so we can start to chip away at it bit by bit. So in my coach training course, so I specialise now in coach training for people who want to work with adolescents, young people and young adults to use coaching, specifically positive psychology coaching, to prevent the onset of mental health problems. One of the things that we do is kind of think about all the things that are going on in your life, like let's get them all out on paper and then start to think about how they all relate to each other, which ones do you want to focus on, and then we start to look at stuff going on underneath all those things. Is it how you feel about yourself? Is it coping strategies? Is it emotional reactions causing you behavior, causing trouble, getting you into behavior situations? Is it the fact that you think poorly of yourself and you don't know how to think another way? So the coach will act as a supportive partner to work through a coaching process with a young person. So when you learn to become a coach, so you might think, oh, that sounds good, I want to do some coaching with the young people that I work with. I can totally see how it would benefit them. The best thing to do, you can work with an external coach who has done some training and done supervision and work with young people, who's experienced at coaching young people, and get them in to come and work with you or with your young person that you want to support, or a group of young people. Or you can learn to be a coach yourself. So you might never have thought of learning to be a coach yourself. So you might want to be a coach to set up your own business, or you might want to be a coach to add that as a string to your bow in a job that you already got, like a teacher or a youth worker or nurse or pastoral worker or counsellor or anything like that. Or you might want to learn how to coach so you can take a coaching approach and a coaching ethos into your workplace or organisation where you're supporting young people. So you can think about that more holistically and much more about the ethos and way of being of a coach, which is always about the coaching relationship. So the reason why life coaching works for young people, well, for people in general, but I'm specifically talking about young people, is that the coach will create this positive, um, supportive relationship based on equality and a range of other strategies such as active listening, the use of questions, the experience of positive affect, which is the experience to build positive emotions during the coaching process, which helps promote and protect well-being and resilience, feedback, being non-directive, being a challenge sometimes, offering different perspectives, being respectful and offering support, and really kind of helping the young person through this range of skills and tools and art and science that you are enabling the young person to identify the resources and solutions that they already have within themselves. What life coaching for young people is not, is telling them what to do. If you're starting to tell a young person what to do, you are no longer coaching them. You are teaching them or doing something else. Or mentoring. So when we're coaching, we have this relationship built on equality and trust where we're supporting the young people to identify the resources within ourselves. Because they are younger and developmentally they might not have as many ideas, we can offer suggestions. Whether they take those suggestions or not is up to them, and they could say, no thanks, I don't want that. What we don't do is give them a load of stuff, give them a load of advice, and then get angry with them when they don't take that advice up. And I think that just because they're a child and you're the adult, that the first thing to kind of get your head around is the nature of the relationship is different, and it's the nature of the relationship based on equality that can be so empowering and so healing and so transformational for the young person, because no adult has probably ever spoken to them on their level and sort of listened to them and heard them and helped them figure themselves out. Quite often adults rush in to rescue, to give advice, to offer suggestions, to give them a load of practical things that they could do and send them on their way. So what we're doing through coaching is we're slowing that whole process down. Now that might feel frustrating to you if you want to just help everyone and you've got this like real urge to do everything in a rush and just tell them and off they go, and we're giving them loads of website links to look at and books and self-help strategies and why don't you do a gratitude journal and everything like that. But if you're not like, if they're not relating to that, or they don't feel it's going to help them, or there's no accountability for you to kind of support them to figure things out and have a go at different strategies and be like, no, that one was not for me, but what I do when I'm feeling good is this helps me. And then you can say, well, how do you do that more? That's what coaching does. So it's kind of hard to describe sometimes because it's lots of things, but everything's contained within this relationship. And then in the positive psychology approach to coaching, what we're doing is learning evidence-based wellbeing science resources. So positive psychology is the science of wellbeing. So we're learning specific evidence-based tools and strategies and resources, and then we're applying them in the positive psychology intervention itself. So these can include positive emotions, strengths, theories of motivation, resilience, hope theory, self-determination theory, um, thinking of the solution-focused approaches, um, anything that's a relationship. One of the main ones, one of the main ones that I cover is relationships and interpersonal skills. So in my opinion of working with, in the field of working with young people now since 2010 really, is that over the development of these young people coming up with devices, since primary school, that they've, and then COVID has compounded this, is that they're over reliant on technology to communicate, and they literally don't have the skills to communicate, and they don't have the words. It's not even that they're thinking something and they can't say it. It's like they don't even have the thought to have the words, and then they don't have the ability to say it out loud. It's just can get stopped, like it just won't come out of their mouths. So, and there's all these psychological barriers like fear and shame and programming and worry that what other people are going to think, or I'm a burden, or no one's going to listen to me anyway. So all of that stuff is like underneath the water line. So imagine an iceberg. The symptoms on the top is that you see the young person disengaging, you see them not talking. Underneath all that is loads and loads of stuff that in coaching we unpack. We help them unpack it. We don't tell them what it is. We're not diagnosing their issues. We're asking them questions to help them figure themselves out more. And we're listening not just to what they're saying, but to what they're saying in between their words as well, like how they're saying it, and that deeper level of listening where you're listening to really what's going on in how they feel in their energy, or like their body language, or who they really are as a person. And we're getting to know that and helping them then identify what are the resources, tools and strategies that are going to help them move towards their goal, or move towards the thing that they want. And the thing that they want might be to feel better, to have some achievement at school, to attend school, to improve relationships with their friends or family or parents, or be, whatever the thing that motivates them. We help them identify that thing, and then we help them tap into a whole range of resources that they then practice with you through the coaching process, so that they eventually don't need you anymore. If you are a life coach working with young people, you are and you're an ethical practitioner, because the ethical practice is all part of coaching as well. You ultimately should be working to make yourself redundant. Coaching is a short-term intervention where you are not creating dependency. So the idea being is that the young person is empowered through the coaching relationship to then be able to tap into their own tools and resources to build their confidence and their aspiration, their motivation, so that they can know that these things are within themselves, so they don't rely on you anymore. And it might be things like, oh well, you said this, I remember, I can always hear your voice when I think about this thing. But it's almost like your voice becomes their voice, and then they can self-coach themselves. That's what we want to get young people to. The interesting thing about coaching young people is they're during the adolescent brain development stage of synaptic pruning. So what you're doing is essentially working with them through coaching resources, coaching tools to help them reprogram their brain at the point of when it's being stripped back and rebuilt. 50% of mental health problems develop during adolescence, around the age of 14. This coincides with puberty. This is why, in my opinion, all teenagers could do with coaching, because all teenagers struggle through puberty. I wouldn't want to be a teenager again, would you? It's absolutely horrendous. And then we've got the modern world to throw into the mix: academic pressure, parents' issues, just so much stuff that they have to deal with. So, in my opinion, all teenagers should have a life coach, and have a short series of interventions to help them develop these resources and strategies to move forward. Now, literature tells us that coaching is more effective for those young people that are more at risk. So coaching is really helpful as an early intervention strategy, or an early intervention way of working that's preventing the onset of mental health problems. So what we want to do is, during that developmental stage of adolescence, help young people prevent the onset of mental health problems by them accessing a lot of resources, a lot of tools and strategies, a lot of them within themselves, through the process of coaching. And also they're learning skills and strategies, and they're experiencing those skills and strategies with you as their coach. So should you learn to be a life coach to work with young people, if you love teenagers, if you know they're struggling, if you want a practical way of helping them, if you want to feel confident in your abilities, you want a certificate that says you can do it, you want to feel allowed to be able to do it, but you also feel that counselling might not be the right intervention, or mentoring's not doing enough, because mentoring is, people confuse coaching and mentoring. They are two different things. Mentoring is more hierarchical, and mentoring requires somebody to have more knowledge and experience and sort of impart the knowledge and experience onto the mentee. Coaching, the relationship's equal. It's based on equality and trust. Some therapeutic approaches are not based on a relationship of equality, or a coach might use some of the same tools and strategies and concepts as a therapy or a counsellor or as a mentor, but we're applying them within a different relationship. So I have a coach training certification program and course. So you can go on my website and look at the Certified Worth It Life Coach training program that I have if you want to become a life coach and be part of the Worth It brand and take forward positive psychology coaching for young people and teenagers and young adults to support them to develop resilience, improve well-being and prevent the onset of mental health problems. So that's kind of a whistle-stop tour of life coaching for young people. Life coaching is, it's lots of different things, but it's basically about a supportive role in helping someone access the resources and strategies within themselves to achieve their own potential. Where it goes, nobody knows until we start coaching. That is the joy of coaching, and that is why we use non-directive approaches and we let the young person lead the content rather than us leading the content. But that's why it works. That's why it's amazing. And the outcomes for young people who access coaching are pretty amazing too. So hopefully you're interested now in considering life coaching as an option for supporting the teenagers and young people you work with. And that's it from me today. Find out more about my life coaching course by clicking the links below.